So I'm going to be welcoming Brie Code to the stage. In her former life, Brie was the lead programmer at Ubisoft Montreal, working on Child of Light and the Assassin's Creed games. But Brie is now the CEO and creative director of True Love, a Toronto-based studio that make companions, interactive experiences that aren't quite apps, aren't quite games, but sit somewhere in between. I think for me, Brie is a huge inspiration. I think she is exactly what the games industry needs right now. She's challenging every one of our conventional wisdoms to do with games design and really leading us towards somewhere way more interesting. So I'm just so thrilled to be able to welcome her to the stage, to give her a big round of applause.
I changed my hair. Okay, great. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me when I stand back here? Okay, good. I'm playing with the form of the talk a little bit, and I debated whether to tell you ahead of time or not, but I'm more comfortable if I do, so enjoy. I couldn't pick a title, so I just put a lot of titles. What a mess. A mess. Okay, anyway, let's move on. That's better. So, hello. I don't know you, but I want to ask you a question. How are you? I've been deeply existentially anxious, and I feel especially anxious when I use my phone. And I've also stopped enjoying movies, and I've never liked guitar solos. And these three things, guitar solos and movies and phones, have something in common. Do you know where I'm going with this? We're about a minute into this talk, and my speaking coaches asked me to say something shocking, a hook by now, and that's so that you won't lose interest. I couldn't bring myself to do it, but stay with me for a moment. I've heard that people like my voice, and maybe it will be enough to keep you here. So I'm Brie Code. I'm the CEO and creative director of True Love. I've been introduced, so I don't have to. I'm deeply interested in our relationships with technology. I'm interested in why my phone makes me anxious. At True Love, we combine psychological frameworks for calm and growth with game design and game AI in new ways. We're inventing a new engagement model for our interfaces to technology, from companions to games to apps and beyond, and that's big claims, I know, but I believe it. Our first prototype, a kind and gentle friend in your phone called #selfcare, was named one of Apple's best of 2018, and I'll come back to #selfcare in a bit. First, this shape is how our relationship, yours and mine, is supposed to be structured. I'm supposed to hook you with something shocking or stressful, and then lead you on a journey of rising tension to a climax, followed by a short denouement before I leave you. And this is the structure of most Western forms of entertainment, like guitar solos and movies and games. And I don't like this. I just don't care for it. It does nothing for me. Are you still with me? As game and app designers, we work with stress and reward to take our users on this journey of rising tension. We stress our users with conflict or danger or hard challenges or notifications or scrolls of algorithmic content, and this stress exploits our users' fight or flight response. Their fight or flight response makes them instinctively want to win, to master the challenge presented, and when they win, they feel satisfied and their stress response ends, unless they're presented with another challenge, or perhaps with an endless scroll or an unachievable challenge. The fight or flight response is one pathway to reward chemicals in our brains, in this case, adrenaline and dopamine. But do you enjoy this? Many of us do. It's fine if you do, but for me personally, the music and films and games and apps I've enjoyed have been in spite of this pattern of shock and rising tension, and not because of it. I like character development and not plot. I just want to get to know the characters and be in their lives as good things happen for them. And deepening connection and not rising tension is what makes me feel fulfilled. I'm a lover, not a fighter. and I invite you to stay with me for another moment. I've asked myself, why don't I care about winning? And I found my answer in some research from the UCLA Social Neuroscience Lab from 2000. And if you know me, or if you've ever had a conversation with me, or if you've read any of my writing, you probably know what I'm going to say. It turns out that about half of us, or all of us some of the time, have a different response to stress, beyond the well-known fight or flight response. Despite being told in school that the fight or flight response is my stress response, it's not. My most frequent stress response is called tend and befriend. It's little known, but it's very prevalent. And when you experience a tend and befriend reaction, you aren't interested in winning. Instead, you instinctively want to take care of people or things, connect with friends, and find solutions that work for everyone. We do this often in small and big ways. Tend and befriend is why, during hurricanes or fires or floods or earthquakes, we tend to help each other rather than all start brawling. And interestingly, unlike fight or flight, these feelings are not only triggered by stressful events, and also, unlike fight or flight, they don't end suddenly when the conflict is over. Care and connection make us want more care and connection. Love creates more love. This is a pathway to other reward chemicals in our brains, oxytocin and endorphins. And if you like cute animal videos, or organizing your bookshelf, or reading celebrity gossip, or knitting for charity, you may be enjoying some delicious tend and befriend feelings. Tend and befriend is also why I enjoy designing tidy, well-structured software systems and building apps that help people. Love feels as satisfying as, or better than, winning. And how do you feel hearing about tend and befriend? Had you heard of it before? If not, do these feelings feel familiar to you? When I first read about tend and befriend, I suddenly understood myself so much better. Tend and befriend gave me a way to understand why I never seemed to care about winning petty conflicts or saying the really smart thing in the moment, and how maybe that isn't weakness, but instead a different form of strength. And maybe that's exhilarating to you as it is to me. I feel cohesive and sometimes even powerful. I waste a lot less time. I don't necessarily need to fight. We don't necessarily need to fight. I just find smart people who enjoy collaboration, and I work with them and I ignore the rest, and this is transcendent. But no matter what is in my heart, this is what is on my phone, this curve. And for those of us who tend to have that tend and befriend response, our phones are stressing us and then not giving us opportunities to do our natural stress response behaviors and leaving us stressed. Our phones were not designed for us. Games were not designed for us. And that is the first of two reasons that my phone has been leaving me anxious and disengaged and disconnected. So after I read about tend and befriend, I decided to try something. I wondered if we could create an app that worked not with rising stress and reward, but with deepening care and connection. I co-designed this app with Eve Thomas, an artist and magazine editor in Montreal who isn't at all interested in video games, but is interested in media and culture and good feelings and justice for marginalized people. In our app, #selfcare, there's a character who refuses to leave their bed. They're taking a mental health day. They're surrounded by their favorite things like crystals and tarot cards and succulents. Each thing has a sort of mini game inside of it. Has anyone tried it? Cool. Thank you. In each mini game, instead of following interaction curves of rising tension from small wins to big wins, we created curves of deepening connection. Our interactions go from messy to tidy, or from awkward to smooth, or disconnected to connected. They get easier over time, not harder. Our interactions are all about care and connection, and never about domination. As best we could, we made the relationship between the user and the character non-hierarchical. As you play, you help the character feel better, and the character helps you feel better at the same time, and you help each other. I introduced the implications of the tend and befriend theory to the games industry at GDC in 2017. This theory does maybe seem to imply a framework through which we can possibly double the games industry and also change the way we interact with technology in general. In response to this beautiful idea, many people have cried during my talks. I've received warm and lovely messages and emails from people who feel seen and who, like me, feel like they suddenly understand themselves for the first time, or so much better. I've also been called wrong and harmful and crazy, and I've been told repeatedly that my company will fail. When I speak about this idea, I often receive bad faith questions and angry rants from men in the audience. They approach me in person and in messages and emails. Before we proved with #selfcare that this works, my mentors were worried about me. Other designers told me I was wrong or wasn't capable of understanding basic game design. And many publishers and investors weren't interested in benefiting from our work until one was. One who saw the potential before we proved it. I only mention this to be factual about what it is like to be a woman putting forth revolutionary and feminine ideas in an industry that is dominated by men. When we released #selfcare, I wasn't sure what would happen. I knew I had people crying in my talks. I knew I had some very worried mentors and dismissive and condescending peers. I had okay beta test results. I knew in my heart there was something there, but I wasn't sure how easy it would be to find it. I was hoping to get a few thousand users so we could iterate with their feedback and discover how to use Tend and Befriend. But it turns out we didn't need to iterate. Instead, we had 500,000 downloads in the first 6 weeks without any advertising or any form of user acquisition. We haven't even optimized our App Store description. We're well past 1 million downloads now, still with no spending or effort on user acquisition. More importantly, we've been overwhelmed with messages and reviews that confirm that the reason our fans like the app is because love feels as good as or better than winning. These messages and reviews directly confirm our hypotheses. Our new design curves work, and they worked without iteration. We get feedback like, "It's like it put me in a trance. It's the most calming app I have. I feel like the little avatar is looking out for me as much as I am looking out for them. Thank you for this app. I can tell it will change my life." Releasing this app has really changed our lives. It's just a short prototype. It's designed to be played for about 3 to 5 minutes, maybe a few times. We're only just getting started with what we're capable of doing in this space, but it worked. It worked, and that's weird, right? I mean, if the Tend and Befriend response is so common, why haven't we designed for it? Why is it so little known, and why was it so easy to access? When I saw how easily it worked, I couldn't get off my couch for a week. Because the implications of this are pretty big and pretty good for marginalized people. Let me share with you what I think these implications are. If you've already heard me talk about this, please stay with me as I have a few new conclusions to draw. Like me, female rats love to love. Male rats have a fight or flight response to stress, and early stress research was frequently done by men studying male rats. Among humans, women and men may have either response, but we may be able to say that more feminine people tend to have a Tend and Befriend response, and more masculine people tend to have a fight or flight response, whatever femininity and masculinity are. Early stress research involved one kind of person studying one kind of reaction. And I was horrified when I read that. And then I read more, and I looked around at my colleagues in the tech industry, and even more so in the games industry, and I saw what just might be the scope of this problem. And the immediate success of #selfcare sort of confirmed that to me. And this is the second source of my anxieties. And now, each morning, as I balance precariously in the shower trying to shave my legs, which is something that a lot of people do in the shower, I wonder why there is no ledge or nook to put my foot on. While I do that, I contemplate how many fields of science still disproportionately study male rodents. I contemplate how we didn't know the shape of the clitoris until 1998 and how it's still incorrectly defined all over the internet and in dictionaries today. I contemplate how no one in power noticed that airbags were very dangerous for shorter people until 2011. I think about how color film was optimized for light skin and how this injustice continues in the design of face and eye tracking today. I marvel about how, as a visible woman in this industry, I have 117,687 petty harassers in my Twitter block list so far. All those little fighters engaged in predictable reactions to a platform that is designed to stress them. And based on the messages I receive still too frequently from young and marginalized people in our industry still in 2019, I'm not the only person facing hostility and harassment from domineering and disconnected men in our industry. And the highest degree of annoying men being annoying and trying to put me in my place after a talk that I've given wasn't at a games industry talk, but one given to a general audience. So the first reason that my phone leaves me anxious is because it feeds me notifications and endless scrolls that I don't personally connect with. And the second reason that my phone leaves me anxious is in the content of those endless scrolls. Our entire built world leaves me anxious. I live in a world that wasn't designed for people like me. Our society has been designed and constructed largely by and for one kind of person over generations. Our products and our processes, our structures, our roles, our rules, our values, our systems, and our institutions have been designed largely by and for one kind of person who likes to win, or who has been pressured to repress his natural feminine power in order to not be seen as weak. So let's slowly stop doing this. This obsession with winning, prioritization of winning, has led us to an absolutely ridiculous wealth divide, some really strange political things happening, and disastrous changes to our climate. And we're not rats. We have more choice. I won't flatten myself into something I'm not or convince myself to like something that I don't like. I'm not interested in winning, but I'm also not interested in finding simple peace from my anxieties or blaming myself for them. My anxieties are real and they're valid and they're extremely useful. I'm very interested in channeling anxiety into care and connection and bigger solutions that work for everyone. That is my stress response. Underrepresented people face many frustrating barriers to success, but we also have greater opportunities for creating the most interesting, innovative, revolutionary, valuable, and necessary change. All of those powerful dudes who run things have already created what works for them. They're refining details now, proving to themselves what big winners they are, while the rest of us have sweeping changes that we are ready to make, and anxiety is a key and it's fuel. And when the opportunities are so great and so ignored, we can start small and create dramatic results from the beginning. #selfcare demonstrates this. A tiny prototype designed by marginalized creators, no user acquisition spend, over 1 million downloads, one of Apple's best apps of 2018. The beginnings of a new engagement model. I'm building a new engagement model because I noticed that my phone didn't work for me and didn't work for my friends. What is missing from your life? Can you design a scalable business out of it? Capitalism sucks, and capitalism is about winning, but it's the power structure we're playing in right now. And capitalism asks for growth and innovation. And ironically, marginalized people have greater opportunities to create growth and innovation because they have unique and unexplored perspectives. Maybe with the right steps we can take some of that power. Maybe we can use it well. For example, pretty much anything traditionally feminine is just waiting to be automated or systemized. In the games industry, we've systemized the feelings of playing tag or sports, but we haven't yet systemized the feelings of playing dolls or house. Not yet, not really. And that is one major pathway for growth and innovation in this industry. This journey is not fair or easy. If you are doing something different, powerful people will dismiss you or worry about you or block you. And each of those people is the person who won't benefit from your success. You don't have to give it to them. And as you are more and more successful, you can pull marginalized people up with you. And when you are really successful, you can invest in marginalized people's businesses. They will probably perform better. And as we become powerful, we can transform the way that we all do business, and we can do this together. Because we are not rats. Humans are more complex, Most of us express a mix of feminine and masculine traits. Neither you nor I have to turn ourselves into masculine caricatures to be powerful. We don't have to make what's already been made to be powerful. Those days are behind us. We live in a time where we can each be complete, mature persons, and we can each cultivate a tend and befriend mindset. So will you join me in cultivating these warm and gooey and pro-social and responsible and transcendent feelings? Will you? Yes. Good. The next time you're in a hotel room and there's a shoe mitt but no tampons, or the next time you're at the gym and every television in front of the treadmills has rich white men telling not-so-white lies on it, notice. And think of those ignored female rats in stress studies and how transformative their reactions are. And if you have the energy, stay in that moment and try looking right into your anxieties. Maybe the source of the problem is not within you, but the potential solutions for you and people like you might be. Thank you. I could do like 2 or 3 questions. Okay, yeah?
How did you find the strength to go through all these challenges?
Friends. And small wins at every step. Like, it always looked like it might work. Probably not gonna work, might work. Then it did, so. Okay, thank you.
Okay, wow, that was absolutely amazing. I just feel we need so much more of that, and it's really inspiring. As I started to read Brie's Tend and Befriend articles last year, I just felt like, wow, like why haven't we been doing this forever? So thank you, it really touched me. For those of you who've been here for the whole session today, I think probably feel a little like me, that's been really quite amazing. Every single talk really touched on something incredibly important, and I think sort of showed why and how games can be very powerful. I think, and sort of just what I really loved about everything was how seriously every group is taking their role, the particular angle that they have, and from the idea of Joe talking to us about, like, you know, really harnessing our identity and not being, you know, taking that forward, and games making us better employees, which I just sort of thought, well, like, yeah, being, you know, communicating and resourcefulness and adaptability, like there are all these skills, there's all these things that remind us that as games makers and games themselves, we are ahead of the curve, and we should never, ever, ever be put off by common knowledge. We should always think like Brie, and always, when we find something that doesn't suit us or we don't like it, we should be redesigning it and rebuilding it and built, like just smashing down those walls. I think that's really, really, really inspiring, and what I'm going to take from it, and we should be highlighting all the great stuff. So yeah, I'm actually like really physically rattled by all of that today. I think it's been really brilliant. So thank you so much to all of the speakers. Let's give everybody a huge round of applause. It's been a real privilege. Yeah, real privilege. So I hope everyone enjoys the rest of London Games Week. I don't really know what happens next. There's Michael. We can clap him because he's here now. That's it. So thank you very much.